We're going to explore vinaigrettes and some vinaigrettes that are classified as sauces. So a typical vinaigrette, or what we see in a salad dressing, is oil and vinegar. You may not see it like this, except in maybe some Italian restaurants where they pour some olive oil in a bowl and add a little balsamic vinegar for it so you can dip your bread in it. But it's been used as a dressing for lettuces for generations. The French vinaigrettes are a little bit different than the Italian vinaigrettes. The French would use a natural oil, grapeseed oil, and then a red wine vinegar. The Italians, if they're doing a vinaigrette, they may use olive oil, in this case, and a balsamic vinegar, just really depending on what part of the world that you were from. We're going to do one a little bit different. In other words, we're going to emulsify it. We're going to take an egg yolk, a little bit of Dijon mustard, emulsify our oil and vinegar together so it creates what feels to be a very luxurious creamy vinaigrette. And this has really been a workhorse for us in our bouchon restaurants, in our casual dining restaurants, because of that texture and that mouthfeel is so pleasing. We're going to move on to sauce vierge. For me, it's more of a vinaigrette, but nonetheless, Michel Gerard, the great chef, a greater chef than myself, who was part of the band Au Bocuse in the 80s, popularized a preparation with tomatoes. The band Bocuse was Michel Gerard, the Trois Gros brothers, Roger Verger, Alain Chappelle, Raymond Olivier, and of course, Paul Bocuse, who are all students of Ferdinand Point, the great chef Ferdinand Point. And then we're going to do a Pennsylvania Dutch chow chow. Typically had onions, green beans, cauliflower, radishes. We have cucumbers in here, thyme, garlic. So it could be really anything that you like. In the South, they would use cabbage. So really it's just a mixture of vegetables that you pickle. And this is also something that we've done in our first workbook. Okay, so we're going to begin with our emulsified vinaigrette. Of course, we have our egg yolk here, a little bit of Dijon mustard. We're going to grate a little bit of garlic, which is wonderful. I like to use this rasp grater. We can just take our garlic and it doesn't really have to be over the bowl because it's going to stick to the back here. You don't smell up your board, but you do smell up your fingers, sorry. And it gets it very fine, really pulls out a lot of the moisture and those juices. And the amount of garlic you use or not use is really up to you. So if you like garlic, then keep piling it on. If you don't want garlic, then by all means, then don't really use it. And then we're gonna use some minced shallots as well. So minced shallots also one of our workhorses. We love the way shallots taste. They're a little sweet. They have not the bite of a typical red onion or yellow onion. They're a lot sweeter than that, a lot softer, and just really add a nice complementary flavor to our vinaigrette. A little bit of lemon juice. And then if we like, we could pick a few thyme leaves as well and put them in there. Whoops, not the whole branch, just the leaf. And you can use any herb you like. It's just, it's really up to you, or no herbs at all. So one egg yolk can really take an enormous amount of oil as long as you're continuing to add a liquid to it. So in this case, vinegar. But in some cases, if you're making a mayonnaise, I'll just add a little bit of water to it and continue to emulsify oil into one egg yolk, and I can make a mass quantity of vinaigrette or in that case, mayonnaise. So we'll just start here. And just a light drizzle. To start with. Keep it moving. Keep the emulsification. Not only does the egg yolk emulsify, the mustard helps as a little bit of a crutch, especially in the beginning. Since the mustard is a paste, it helps in that emulsification to start it out. But it's essential in the flavor anyway, so you always want to have some mustard in there. If you're doing egg whites and trying to make a meringue, I was always told to go in a figure 8. In this case, I'm going just in a round circle, round and round, because I want to watch how that stream of oil gets incorporated into my egg yolk. In this case, if you can see that, we've got a good emulsification started. And we're just going to continue to add oil till we get to a point where it's very thick, and then we can thin it out with a little bit of vinegar and start to balance our flavors between oil and vinegar. I'll add just a little bit of vinegar you can see how thick that is. You can use any oil or any vinegar you want, or you can just use pure lemon juice as the acid. The more quantity you get, the more oil you can add at once. Remember, vinaigrette is traditionally 3 parts oil and 1 part vinegar. So you see just a beautiful, very creamy vinaigrette here. Beautiful. Okay. So our oil and vinegar, which we started out with as a basic vinaigrette, has now turned into an emulsified vinaigrette that's flavored with shallots, garlic, a little bit of thyme leaf, Dijon mustard, and an egg yolk. Now, it's a vinaigrette, so you can keep it in your refrigerator for a week and a half, just be fine. So our sauce vierge is made up of tomato. We've peeled our tomato. We're going to cut them in half, and then in quarters. Remove the interior flesh as well as the seed, and create a little tomato petal. Okay, those petals then we're going to dice up, become the base for our sauce vierge. You can save your interior, use it as part of your mirepoix if you're making any sauces. Or you can dice that up as well and make a little salsa with it, or whatever you like to do with that tomato. We'll mince a shallot. Okay, minced shallot. Just Just going to make sure I've got it nice and even until I get it to the size that I want or the fineness that I like. Of course, it depends on what you're using for. Sometimes we want to leave the bigger pieces because we want that texture. Sometimes, as in the vinaigrette that we just made the emulsified, it was very, very fine. And this, as you can see, still has some texture to it, but it's relatively fine. I just want to remind everybody, when we're making our vinaigrettes and our different sauces here, we can use olive oil or we can use any other oil that we like. I'm not sure I would marry hazelnut oil with tomatoes, but it could be just a grapeseed oil. It could be something that has a neutral flavor. It could be a white wine vinegar as opposed to a balsamic vinegar or a red wine vinegar. It could be sherry vinegar. So there's all different kinds of vinegars and oils that you can use. So don't take anything as a rule. So to dice my tomato, my dice is defined by my first slice, the thickness of my first slice is going to define my dice. I can certainly make a bigger dice by taking off that first layer, making my slice much thicker. Resulting in a much bigger dice. We can even be fancy. Cut a straight edge there. And we could go ahead and make diamonds if we really wanted to, by cutting it on an angle. So it really depends on what finished look you want or how much time you want to spend with it. Okay, so I'm just going to mix them all together. Now the tomatoes, of course, are going to vary throughout the year. This is a dish that really requires to have a beautiful vine-ripe tomato. Michel Guérard developed this to be part of his cuisine mancere, which was a cuisine, a type of cuisine with few calories in it. So instead of doing the traditional sauces that were known in French cuisine and what he was taught as a young cook and a young chef, he decided to develop something that was totally different and eliminate a lot of the high-calorie sauces, the creams, the roux that we saw and things like that. And this was one of his most famous sauces, was sauce vierge. Okay. Again, the quality of the tomato is really, really going to define the quality of this preparation. So if you have bad tomatoes, you're not going to have a very good sauce. Very simple. Some Molden salt. I like to use the Molden salt. It's a little bigger flake. It's going to take it longer to break down. So if you're serving this right away, you still may get some of that crunch. Which for me, I really crave the crunch of salt. And then olive oil. You want to really soak it with the olive oil. And the salt and the acid in the oil is going to pull out the liquid from the tomato. So as it sits, it's going to become more liquid. The longer it sits, the more liquid that's going to come out of the tomato. and then make that beautiful marriage of those flavors. Let it mature, and it'll get even better. And then we'll do a drop of balsamic vinegar. Have that handy here. We'll squeeze just a drop of lemon juice in there. Okay. I think we have that. Very nice. Very well balanced with the acid, the oil, the acid from the tomato, the shallot, which I just got in the back of my throat. And again, this could be used in many different ways. You can actually dress a salad with this if you want to. We put it on melted zucchini. We've used it on our paillard of chicken. You can use it on fish, eggs. A little bit of chopped Italian parsley. There we go. Our sauce vierge that Michel Garrard called it. So now we're going to do our chow chow, which is our chopped pickled vegetables. It's in vinegar. So it's 2 parts vinegar, 1 part sugar. And we're going to remove our vegetables and just chop them up. Mix them with a little bit of olive oil. We have some green mustard, some shallots, and then some chopped chives to go along with this. You can see our onion, our cauliflower, our cucumber, our peppers, our turnip, our radish, this is just wonderful texture. Of course, that acid comes in there very bright because they're pickled. You can go with it again with a number of different dishes. It's really becomes a garnish or a condiment, if you will, for anything from a chopped steak to a fillet of sole. It could be used in a cold preparation. A chicken salad topped with chopped chow chow could be very nice. The opportunity for you to use something like this is endless. It's all about how you feel about it and what you want to use it for. You can chop it as coarse as you like or as fine as you like. Your onions here, I would certainly be a little more deliberate in chopping your onions because they are still very crispy, even though they've been sitting in our pickling for quite some time. So I'm quartering them and then chopping. My garlic, I'm slicing very thin or chopping very thin here. There's no right way or wrong way to chop it. So you can see, I'm just going to go back through it. I think that's about where I want it. Beautiful, isn't it? We're going to add a little bit of grain mustard, some of our shallots, our fresh minced shallot, and then some minced garden chives. We have our vinegar already in our chow chow, so we can add a little our vinegar. Our oil. Grain mustard. And the amount of mustard is really up to you. We do have our mustard seed in here as well. If we wanted to pull some of them out, we could put those in there. These are still a little, these are much crunchier than the ones that are in our mustard, our grain mustard. A little bit of minced shallot. And mix that up. It almost resembles a little sauerkraut, a little pickled relish, things like that. Be really good on a hot dog or a hamburger, actually. A little salt. They should serve this at the ballpark instead of pickled relish for your hot dogs. A little snip chive. So just to summarize, very versatile sauces used for proteins, vegetables, even eggs, salads. We have our basic vinaigrette here, which is 3 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. Any oil you like, any vinegar, including acids. It could be lemon juice, it could be lime juice, it could be grapefruit juice. We have our emulsified vinaigrette, which again can be done with any oil and any vinegar or acid that you like. It's emulsified with an egg yolk with the help of a little bit of mustard. It's flavored with minced shallots, grated garlic, and some thyme leaves. We have our sauce vierge, made famous by the great chef Michel Garrard in the early 80s. Finally, our chow chow, more of a northern version because of the variety of vegetables. The southern version may have more cabbage in it, but nonetheless, 4 beautiful, very versatile vinaigrettes, or as Michel Garrard, one of the greatest chefs in the world, calls this a sauce. We're happy with that.